Hi, I'm Alex Anderson Call, and welcome to the Meltdown Map, 5 steps to handle your child's big emotions. If you've ever found yourself thinking, I know yelling doesn't help, but sometimes I just don't know what else to do, you're in exactly the right place. You love your child more than anything, but when those big emotions hit, it can feel like they pull the whole house into the storm. You want to stay calm, but your patience slips. You end up feeling frustrated, guilty, or even ashamed for how you reacted. And I want you to know, you're not alone. Every parent I work with feels that way at some point. You're not doing it wrong, you just haven't been given the right tools yet. I built this workshop because I believe in building systems that support parents, not just strategies for one tough moment, but structures that last. In my role as a school psychologist, some days it feels like I'm standing in a river, plucking kids out one by one before they go over the waterfall. And I'll do it every single time because that child in front of me matters. But I also know it's not enough. We need a net, something upstream, something that keeps families from being swept in the current in the first place. That's what this work is about. It's about prevention, not just crisis response. It's about building calm, confidence, and connection before things reach a breaking point. I call it the school psychology paradox. I got into this field because I wanted to help children, and I do. But the truth I've learned over more than a decade is that the only true way to help children is to help the adults who love them. Because kids don't learn emotional safety from a worksheet or reward system. They learn it from watching how you breathe through the hard moments, how you stay steady when everything else feels messy. That's why I'm here today. I want to give you the tools that don't just change what happens in a meltdown, but changes what happens next. Tools that build a lasting impact, one that will ripple through your child's future, and maybe even to their children someday. That's what this workshop is about. Giving you a map through those moments of chaos so you can stay calm, confident, and connected when your child needs you most. A parent once said to me, I know I'm a good mom, so why do meltdowns make me feel like I'm failing? That moment stuck with me. You don't need more pressure. You need a simple plan you can use on your busiest, most human days. That's what the Meltdown Map gives you. I suspect you're here because you want to enjoy parenting again. You want those emotional moments to stop feeling like battles and start feeling like opportunities to connect. And you're tired of second-guessing yourself. Tired of wondering if you're good enough, or if you're somehow messing up your child. I see you. I've sat with hundreds of parents who feel exactly like you do. Caring, exhausted, and desperate for something that actually works in real life. Not just something that sounds good on a parenting blog. That's why I created the Meltdown Map. It's simple, it's backed by psychology, and it's designed for real families with real emotions and real stressors. By the end of this workshop, you'll know exactly how to stay calm and confident, even when your child isn't. You'll finally understand why meltdowns happen, so you can respond instead of react. You'll learn simple, science-backed tools to bring calm into chaos. And you'll see how to build trust and connection with your child in the moments that used to leave you both in tears. Most importantly, you'll walk away feeling proud, not guilty, of how you handle those hard moments. That's my goal for you. Peace in your home, connection with your child, and pride in how you show up as a parent. There's a quote from psychologist Alice Miller that I love. She said, "What happens to us as children shapes who we become as adults." And that's true for your child, but it's also true for you. How you handle these moments of chaos doesn't just shape your child's nervous system. It shapes the story that you both tell about what love, safety, and connection feel like. So today, we're not just learning how to stop meltdowns. We're learning how to rewrite that story together. When I first read that line years ago, it stopped me in my tracks. I thought about all the parents I've met who tell me, I don't want to repeat what I grew up with. Maybe you said that too. Maybe you promised yourself, I'll never yell the way my parents did, or I'll make sure my child always knows that they're loved. The truth is, we all carry echoes of how we were parented. The tone of voice, the words we heard, the messages we absorbed about what love and safety meant. But here's the hopeful part. That story isn't fixed. You get to write a new one. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you take a breath instead of yelling, every time you say, you're safe, I'm here, you're changing the script. For you and your child. You're teaching them what safety feels like, even if no one ever modeled that for you. How you handle these moments of chaos doesn't just shape your child's nervous system. It shapes the emotional legacy they'll carry into adulthood. It tells them, big feelings are safe. Love doesn't disappear when things get hard. That becomes the story of what love, safety, and connection mean. So today, We're not just learning how to stop meltdowns, we're learning how to rewrite that story together. Because when you change how you respond, you don't just change your child's behavior, you change what they believe about love. I've spent over a decade working with kids and families. I'm a nationally certified school psychologist, and in that time, I've seen just about everything. From preschool tantrums that shake the whole classroom, to high school crises that break your heart. I'll be honest, I became a school psychologist because I want to help kids. That was my heart from day one. I wanted to be the person that showed up when a child was hurting and helped them feel seen, safe, and understood. But I learned something pretty quickly that changed everything about how I work. To truly help kids, I had to help the adults who love them. Because no matter how skilled I am at calming kids in the moment, they always went home. And what happened in that home, the tone of voice, the way stress was handled, the connection between parent and child, mattered more than anything I could do in a 30-minute session. Here's the truth. Kids don't learn emotional regulation from lectures or punishments. They learn it from you. They learn it by watching how you breathe through frustration, how you recover from mistakes, how you handle them when things don't go as planned. Every sigh, every pause, every softening of your voice is a lesson their nervous system absorbs. When you stay grounded, your child's brain reads that as safety. And when they feel safe, their nervous system calms, their body softens, and they begin to regulate. Not because you told them to, but because they borrowed your calm. I remember one day early in my career, a little boy was having what the teacher called a meltdown. He was screaming, kicking chairs, and everyone was panicking. When I walked in, I didn't do anything fancy. I sat down, stayed quiet, and started breathing slowly. Within minutes, he mirrored me. His shoulders dropped, his breathing slowed, and the storm started to pass. That's when it clicked for me. Kids don't learn calm through words, they learn it through presence. And that's what we're doing today. We're building your calm so your kid can borrow it. Because your calm isn't just a momentary tool, it's the foundation for your child's emotional safety and confidence and connection. The truth is, you can't control every storm your child faces, but you can control the climate you bring to it. That makes all the difference. Here's what we're going to cover together today. Parenting through big emotions isn't about having the perfect response. It's about understanding what's really happening beneath the surface, in your child's brain, in your body, and in the space between you. When you learn that map, everything starts to shift. By the end of this workshop, you'll walk away with a 5-step framework I call CALMS, C-A-L-M-S. A simple map that brings calm and connection back into even the hardest moments. You'll learn how to decode what's really happening in your child's brain and body during a meltdown, so you can see behavior as communication, not defiance. You'll discover how to regulate yourself before you respond, because your calm isn't just helpful, it's your child's anchor. You'll practice how to connect before you correct, creating safety in the middle of chaos, so your child's brain can calm and re-engage. You'll learn how to repair after the storm, turning those hard moments into opportunities for growth and trust. And finally, you'll see how to build daily resistance, so meltdowns happen less often, and recovery happens faster when they do. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present. And once you learn this map, you'll never look at meltdowns the same way again. In my work as a school psychologist, I've sat in classroom floors with kids mid-meltdown, coached teachers through panic, and supported parents who felt like they were failing. And I've watched something incredible happen. When adults learn to regulate themselves first, kids change fast. I have walked into rooms where chairs were tipped and voices were high. One second grader was melting down every afternoon around 1:30. The team kept adding strategies for him, but nothing changed. We tried one shift with the adults. At 1:20, the teachers took a breath, softened her voice, and greeted him at his desk with, "You're safe, I'm here." We moved snack earlier, dimmed the lights, and slowed our pace. Within a week, his red light moments dropped from daily to once. Within a month, they were rare. That is why I'm so passionate about this work. When adults learn to regulate first, kids change fast. Calm is not something a child has to earn. It's something we lead. So let's start there. Let's talk about what's really happening in your child's brain when emotions take over. Because once you understand it, everything else starts to make sense. Okay, let's start by looking at what's actually happening when your child melts down. Because once you understand the why, you stop feeling helpless, and you can start responding with confidence instead of frustration. Here's what I want you to remember from the very beginning. When your child is in the middle of a meltdown, their brain isn't trying to give you a hard time. It's having a hard time. Their behavior isn't about disrespect or manipulation. it's about communication. They're saying, something feels unsafe right now, even if their words or screams sound like something else entirely. During those big emotional moments, your child's brain is flooded with stress hormones. The part responsible for logic, reasoning, and impulse control, the prefrontal cortex, goes temporarily offline. What takes over is the emotional brain, the brain that is wired for survival. That's why reasoning or lecturing doesn't work in the moment. It's not that they won't listen, it's that they literally can't. This is important to understand, because when you see behavior through the lens of safety instead of defiance, everything starts to change. You begin to notice patterns. When they get tired, hungry, overstimulated, or overwhelmed, you start responding to what's underneath the behavior, not just the surface. And the more often your child experiences calm and safety during those moments, the more the brain learns how to return to it on its own. So from now on, when the meltdown starts, I want you to picture what's really happening. Not a child being difficult, but a brain that's struggling to find safety. And that's where you come in. You're the safety signal they're searching for. Let me introduce a simple concept that completely changed how I approach meltdowns. It's called polyvagal theory. Now, don't worry, we're not going to make it sound like a neuroscience lecture. Think of it this way. Your child's brain is like the control tower trying to manage safety signals. When your child feels calm and connected, the control tower is online. Everything's working. But when they feel threatened, scared, or overwhelmed, the system goes offline. And in that moment, your child's brain isn't thinking, it's surviving. They're stuck in fight, flight, or freeze mode. I'll never forget a moment with a first grader named Liam. Every day, right after lunch, he'd shove his chair, shout, and run under the table. The staff saw defiance. What I noticed was that it always happened when the noise in the cafeteria had been especially loud. His nervous system wasn't trying to be difficult, it was overwhelmed. Once we started walking him to lunch a few minutes early and giving him headphones, the defiance disappeared. His brain wasn't misbehaving, it was trying to feel safe. That's the reason why reasoning doesn't work. It's like trying to fix a Wi-Fi connection during a thunderstorm. The signal just isn't there. Your job isn't to control the storm, it's to be the lighthouse. One of my favorite ways to explain this is through the traffic light analogy. I use this with kids, parents, and even teachers because it's simple and it works. Think of your child's emotional state like a traffic light. So green light. Your child feels safe, calm, and open to learning. This is where connection and cooperation live, and this is the state we want to live in, where connection and cooperation come naturally. When your child is in the green zone, their nervous system feels safe. You'll notice open body language, eye contact, curiosity, and a willingness to talk or play. Their brain's higher centers, the ones responsible for empathy, language, and problem solving, are fully online. This is the moment to build connection, teach new skills, and reinforce emotional vocabulary. For example, you might say, "You handled that disappointment really well. What helped you stay calm?" Green light moments are the ones that you strengthen your emotional muscle to help them bounce back later. Yellow light. Stress is building. Maybe they're hungry, tired, overstimulated, or something didn't go their way. This is the warning zone, the space between calm and chaos. You might see clenched fists, a change in tone, pacing, whining, or refusal. The body is starting to release stress hormones, and the brain is shifting from logic to survival mode. This is your window of opportunity. You can still intervene and bring things back down to calm before the red light hits. Try soft interventions here. Lower your voice instead of raising it. Offer choices or a short break. Name what you see. It looks like you're getting frustrated. Do you need a minute or some help? Yellow lights are not bad moments, they're communication. They say, "I'm starting to lose control, but I still want help finding it." When you spot a yellow light early, you save yourself and your child a lot of time in red. Red light. Full meltdown. This is when the emotional brain is completely taken over. The alarm system, the amygdala, is blaring and logic, reasoning, and language are temporarily offline. You'll see fight, flight, or freeze behaviors. Yelling, crying, running, hiding, or shutting down. In this state, your child isn't choosing to misbehave. Their body is literally trying to survive. The best response here isn't to talk them out of it. It's to help them feel safe until their nervous system resets. Think low tone, slow movement, minimal words, and physical presence if it's safe to do so. You might say softly, "You're safe. I'm right here. We'll get through this together. Once the body calms, you can move back to yellow or green. And that's when teaching and problem solving can begin again. Your goal as a parent isn't to avoid the red light forever. It's to help your child move from red back to yellow and eventually back to green. I actually learned this the hard way with a 4th grader named Maya. I kept trying to talk to her through her red light moments, giving her choices, asking questions, but nothing worked. One day, I noticed she always clenched her fists and looked down right before she exploded. That was her yellow light. So instead of talking, I started naming it. Hey, I see your hands are tight. Looks like we're getting close to red. Then I paused and breathed with her. 9 times out of 10, that simple acknowledgement brought her back from yellow to green before things went over the edge. It wasn't about saying the perfect words. It was about seeing the signals and responding with calm. And the best part, you don't do it with lectures or punishment. You can do it through calm, connection, and safety. I want to share a quick story that really brings this to life. A few years ago, I worked with a kindergartner who was having daily meltdowns that lasted almost an hour each. Every single day, the teacher would call me, frustrated, exhausted, unsure of what to do. When I arrived, I noticed something. Every adult in the room was anxious. They were reacting to his emotions instead of regulating theirs. So I coached the teacher to do one simple thing: focus on her calm instead of his chaos. The next day, when he started to escalate, she knelt beside him, took a slow breath, and said quietly, "You're safe. I'm right here." And within minutes, he calmed. Nothing magical, no reward charts, no consequences, just one adult who modeled safety. And that's when it clicked for her. When you calm your nervous system, you teach your child's nervous system what safety feels like. That's the secret. It's not about control, it's about connection. So now that you understand what's happening under the surface, let's talk about what you can actually do in those moments, starting with how you regulate yourself first. Okay, this is the moment where everything changes. If you take only one thing away from today, let it be this: you can't calm your child's storm if you're caught up in it. I learned that the hard way in my 2nd year as a school psychologist. A student was yelling, throwing pencils, and I could feel my pulse racing right along with his. I remember thinking, I need him to calm down so I can think. But then it hit me. He was already reading my nervous system for cues. So I stopped talking, took one deep breath, and lowered my shoulders. Within seconds, his eyes softened. That moment changed how I approach every meltdown now. If I want my child to find calm, I have to show them what calm looks like first. When a child loses control, their body instantly scans the room for cues of safety. Their nervous system looks to you first, your eyes, your tone, your breathing, to decide, am I safe right now? If you're tense, frustrated, or anxious, your child's brain interprets that as danger and doubles down on the meltdown. But when you slow your breathing, soften your voice, and steady your body, you become the anchor in their storm. Your calm literally tells their brain, it's okay, you can come back now. That's not just good parenting, that's neurobiology. You are the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the temperature. Children borrow your calm before they build their own. Every deep breath you take, every pause before you speak, every gentle movement you make, all of it teaches your child how to manage emotions. Their developing brain is wired for co-regulation first, and self-regulation later. Here's what that means. When your child is upset, their brain connects with yours through something called neuromirroring. You've probably seen this. When you start to raise your voice, they raise theirs. When you slow down, they slow down. That's why the most powerful strategy you have isn't about controlling their behavior. It's about controlling your own state. Let me give you an image. Imagine your body as an instrument. Your child's nervous system tunes itself to your frequency. When you vibrate at calm, they begin to resonate with that same calm. That's the science of emotional safety. So, when you feel your frustration rising, remember, this isn't just about keeping your cool. You're actively rewiring your child's brain for resilience. I want to teach you one of the simplest and most powerful tools I use with both parents and teachers. It's called pause and name. When emotions rise, your body goes into survival mode right alongside your child's. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tighten, and your brain floods with stress chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline. Your breathing gets shallow, your jaw tightens, and your mind starts racing. That's your nervous system way of saying, something feels threatening right now. If you don't interrupt that loop, you'll get pulled right into the chaos. And when two nervous systems are both in survival mode, yours and your child's, no one's thinking clearly. That's when yelling, snapping, or saying something you regret later tends to happen. Here's how you break that loop. It's just 2 steps, simple but powerful. First, pause. Before you react, take one conscious breath, just one. That pause buys you space to choose your response instead of being hijacked by the moment. You can even anchor it with a small physical cue. Unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders, or plant your feet on the ground. Feel yourself coming back into your body. And 2, name it. Quietly name what's happening inside you. It might sound like, my chest is tight, I'm angry right now, I feel helpless. You don't have to analyze it or fix it, just notice it. When you name what you feel, you activate the thinking part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, and you calm the emotional part, the amygdala. You're literally switching control from the reactive part of your brain to the part that can make choices. This is called naming to tame, and it's one of the fastest ways to lower your body's stress response. Then I add what I call the 3-breath reset. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Again, inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Let's try this together. Inhale, hold, and slowly exhale. Notice how your shoulders drop just a little bit, how your chest feels lighter. That's your nervous system telling your brain, we're safe. And every time you do that, you're teaching your child's brain the same message, not with words, but through presence. This might sound simple, but it's one of the most powerful emotional resets we have. I've seen entire classrooms shift because one teacher took one breath. I've seen parents transform an argument into connection in 10 seconds flat. Not because they said the perfect things, because they paused long enough to see the moment differently. And the beautiful part is, you don't need perfection, you just need awareness. And one breath. One moment of consciousness in the middle of chaos. That's all it takes to change the tone, the energy, and the outcome. I also want to give you a few quick micro resets that you can use anywhere, at home, in the car, even mid-meltdown. Ground with your senses. Notice 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, 1 you can taste. Soften your face. Your child reads micro-expressions faster than words. Relax your jaw and eyebrows. It instantly changes your tone. Anchor with a phrase. Something like, my calm helps us both, or breathe first, talk later. Then move intentionally. Unclench your fists, lower your shoulders, or take a step back. Motion resets emotion. These tiny shifts send a huge message. I'm in control of me and we're okay. And every time you model that, your child's body learns a little faster how to do it too. I use these same resets myself, not just at school, but in everyday life. One morning, I was already late and spilt lunch on my shirt right before the meeting. My instinct was to huff and rush, but I caught it. I did a quick 5-sense reset right there at my desk. I noticed the hum of the computer, the feel of the chair under me, took one deep breath. It took less than 15 seconds, but it changed the whole tone of my day. That's the power of these micro resets. You don't need a meditation cushion or an hour of silence. You just need awareness in the moment. I'll never forget a 3rd grader I worked with a few years ago. He was completely overwhelmed and had said he wanted to hurt himself. When I arrived, several adults were trying to talk to him at once. Their voices were high, their movement frantic. I stayed quiet. I walked slowly, knelt beside him, and began breathing deeply. In, hold, out, with the rise and fall of my hand. After a minute, he started to match my rhythm. Then he whispered, "Can we just breathe for a little while?" Within minutes, the crisis was over. What changed? Not him, me. I changed the emotional climate of the room. That's the power you have too. Your calm regulates your child's chaos faster than any consequence or lecture ever will. Remember, calm isn't a reaction to your child's behavior. It's the gift you give both of you. I know this isn't easy. You're juggling jobs, schedules, and endless demands. You don't always have time to take 10 deep breaths or stage the perfect response. But here's the truth. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. Every time you catch yourself escalating and choose to breathe instead, you're building a new pattern. Even if you only get it right 1 of 5 times, that's one more moment your child learns what safety feels like. So, give yourself permission to be a work in progress. I'll be honest, there are still days I miss the mark. A few months ago, I caught myself snapping at a student who interrupted me for the third time in a minute. I saw his face fall, and my stomach sank. I paused, took a breath, and said, "Hey, that wasn't fair." I got frustrated and raised my voice. He nodded and said, "It's okay, I do that sometimes too." That small repair reminded me, this work isn't about never losing it. It's about always coming back. Our kids don't need perfect adults. They need honest ones who keep trying. Your growth is the calm your child will one day remember. Let's practice right now. Go ahead and place both feet on the floor. Uncross your arms. Let your shoulders fall away from your ears. Take a deep breath in. Hold it. And slowly exhale. Now, I want you to think about the last time your child's emotions felt completely out of control. Maybe it was a tantrum in the car, a bedtime resistance, or a morning that went off the rails before you even had your coffee. Picture that moment. Notice what happens in your body as you remember it. Your heart rate rising, your muscles tensing, the noise, the frustration building. Now, imagine yourself in that same moment, but this time you pause. You take one conscious breath. You think, "My calm helps us both." You exhale slowly. Feel your shoulders start to lower, your jaw unclench, your chest loosen. That's your nervous system shifting from survival back into safety. That's the power of awareness in real time. Let's do it again, this time with intention. Picture your child's face, not in the meltdown, but just as they are right now, the person you love most in the world. Take a slow breath in through your nose for 4 seconds, hold it for 2, and exhale for 6. As you breathe out, imagine sending calm to your child, like a wave of warmth that says, "You're safe, I'm here." Do it one more time. Inhale peace, hold, exhale pressure. Notice how your body feels different this time. The calm you just created, that's where your child's brain borrows from you in the hard moments. It's not magic, it's science. That version of you, the one who pauses, breathes, and chooses calm, that's the version your child needs most. And the best part? You just practice it. You already know how to do it. Let's wrap this step up. You've learned that your calm isn't optional, it's essential. You've learned that your nervous system teaches before your words ever do, and you've learned practical tools: pause and name, 3-breath reset, grounding, and anchor phrases that can bring calm back fast. That's the foundation of the Meltdown Map, because when you regulate yourself, you create the conditions for your child to feel safe enough to regulate too. Now that you've learned how to stay grounded, let's move on to step 3, how to connect with your child through the chaos. Because calm is the first step, connection is what makes it last. Now that you know how to regulate yourself, let's talk about what happens next, how to reach your child through the chaos instead of reacting to it. Step 3 is called connect before you correct. That means your number one job in a meltdown isn't to teach, fix, or control. It's to help your child feel safe enough to calm down. When your child's nervous system is flooded, they're not being difficult on purpose. Their brain is in survival mode. Logic and reasoning are offline. You can't discipline a brain that's drowning. You have to help it come up for air first. And that happens through connection, through subtle, calm signals that you tell your child. "You're safe, I'm with you, we'll get through this together." When you do that, something incredible happens. The walls come down. Your child's body softens. Their breathing slows. Their brain starts to re-engage. That's when they're ready to learn. And that's what your parenting starts to work again. So before you correct, always connect, because connection opens the door for every other skill to follow. Let's look at the science behind why connection is so powerful. When your child feels understood and emotionally safe, their brain releases oxytocin, something called the bonding or connection hormone. Oxytocin lowers cortisol, which is the main stress hormone driving meltdowns. It helps the thinking part of the brain, that prefrontal cortex, come back online. That's why connection literally calms the body and resets the brain. It's the bridge from chaos to calm. When you kneel beside your child, lower your voice, or reflect what you see, you're not spoiling them or letting them get away with something. You're sending their brain a message that says, you're safe now. You don't have to fight or run anymore. And here's what's beautiful about this. You don't have to agree with your child's behavior to validate their emotions. You can say things like, you're angry because you want more screen time. I get that. And it's still time to turn it off. That's connection and correction coexisting. You're emphasizing without giving in. Connection doesn't erase boundaries. It reinforces them by anchoring them in relationship. So how do you actually do these intense moments? Let's walk through a few practical ways to connect before you correct. First, stay close, not controlling. When your child is upset, your proximity communicates safety. Sit beside them instead of standing over them. The goal isn't dominance, it's presence. Second, use your voice intentionally. Speak slowly and quietly. Your tone becomes their cue for safety. When you whisper, their brain has to slow down to hear you. Third, describe what you see. Try saying, your hands are clenched, you're really frustrated, instead of, stop yelling. This shows empathy and helps your child make sense of their emotions. Fourth, match their energy, not their chaos. If they're crying, meet that emotion softly. If they're yelling, lower your voice instead of raising it. You're modeling emotional control in real time. And here's one more. Speak calm with your body. Slow your movements, keep your hands open. For some kids, a gentle touch, like a hand on the shoulder or sitting shoulder to shoulder, can ground them instantly. For others, space might feel safer. You can always ask, would you like a hug or do you need space right now? What you're doing in these moments is showing your child, I'm not afraid of your emotions, I can handle them, and I can help you handle them too. I remember a student named Caleb who would slam his desk the second an assignment got hard. My first instinct was always to jump in, to correct, to explain, to teach. But the more I talked, the more he shut down. One day, I tried something different. I sat down beside him and said softly, that looks really frustrating. He didn't answer right away, but I saw his shoulders drop. Then he whispered, yeah, I can't do it. That was the doorway. Once he felt safe, then we could problem solve. Connection wasn't a reward for calm, it was the path to it. That message builds trust, and trust creates a foundation for change. I've seen this transformation so many times, both in schools and in homes. There's a moment I'll never forget. A parent I worked with had a son who would scream and cry when things didn't go his way. Her instinct was to lecture, to talk him through it, to make him understand, but it always escalated. One day, I coached her to do something different. I said, don't talk, just sit. Be calm. Describe what you are seeing. So the next time he exploded, she sat next to him quietly and said, this feels really big, doesn't it? He kept crying, but it started to soften. She took a slow breath and said, you wanted to keep playing. That's hard. And then he looked up at her. He crawled into her lap and cried. Within minutes, the storm was over. She told me later, I used to think he needed me to fix it. He just needed me to be there. That's the power of connection. When you stop talking at your child and start being with your child, everything changes. And it doesn't take weeks. Sometimes it happens in minutes. So the next time you feel that urge to correct right away, pause. Lead with connection, because safety is what brings your child back every single time. Once your child is calm and connection is restored, you've reached a powerful window, the moment of reflection and repair. That's where the real learning happens. In step 4, we'll talk about how to guide that repair, how to turn those meltdown moments into teachable moments that actually strengthen your relationship instead of straining it. By the time you've reached this step, the storm is past. The emotions have settled, the tears have slowed, and everyone's starting to breathe again. Now comes the most powerful moment in the whole process, the repair. Repair means reconnecting after disconnection. It means showing your child, even when we mess up, we can come back together. Because let's be honest, none of us get it right all the time. Sometimes you lose your cool, and they say something hurtful. Repair is what teaches your child that love doesn't break when things get hard. This is where the relationship grows the most. not in calm moments, but in comeback moments. Repairing isn't about reliving the meltdown, it's about rebuilding safety. So when calm returns, your focus shifts from control to connection, from punishment to partnership. Here's what both the research and real life tells us. Kids don't need perfect parents, they need repairing ones. Every parent loses their cool sometimes. You yell, you say something sharp, or you withdraw because you've hit your limit. That's part of being human. What matters most isn't the rupture, it's the repair that follows. When you circle back after a hard moment and reconnect with empathy, you send a powerful message to your child's nervous system. Conflict isn't dangerous. Love doesn't disappear when things get hard. We can come back to each other. That single message changes everything. It rewires your child's brain to associate correction, tension, and conflict with safety instead of fear. It teaches them that relationships can withstand stress, and that emotions don't have to end in disconnection. In the brain, moments of repair build what psychologists call secure attachment. Each time you apologize, listen, or make amends, your child's brain releases oxytocin, the connection hormone. That chemical literally lowers your stress hormones like cortisol and strengthens pathways associated with trust. In other words, every repair moment physically strengthens your child's capacity for resilience. And that's the lesson that lasts a lifetime. Think about it. As adults, most of us don't remember our parents' perfect days. We remember the moments when they made it right. The time they sat on the edge of the bed and said, "I shouldn't have yelled at you. I love you." The hug after the argument, the quiet, "I'm sorry." That reminded us we mattered more than the mistake. Those are the moments that define what safety and love look like. That's what creates emotional security. Not never fighting, but always repairing. Because repair says, even when we're messy, we're still safe. Even when I get it wrong, we still belong. So let me say this clearly. You don't have to be a perfect parent. You just have to keep showing up. Breathing, apologizing, reconnecting, and trying again. That's what your child will remember. That's what builds lifelong trust. Let's talk about how to do that. Here's my favorite tool, the Reflect and Repair script. It's simple, flexible, and it helps you find the right words when emotions are tender. It has 3 steps. First, acknowledge. Start by acknowledging what happened, without blame or shame. Say something like, "That was a tough moment for both of us," or "Things really got big earlier, didn't they?" That tells your child, "I see it, and I'm safe to talk about it now." Second step is to validate. Recognize your child's experiences and emotions. Try, "You were really disappointed when we had to leave the park. You were angry because it didn't feel fair." Validation doesn't mean agreeing, it means showing understanding. Third, collaborate. Once calm and safety are back, invite problem solving. Ask, "What can we do differently next time?" Or, "What might help you when you start to feel angry again?" This turns repair into learning. You're not forcing accountability, you're modeling it. A few years ago, I had a student named Olivia who I completely lost my patience with during testing. She refused to participate, and after 15 minutes of back and forth, I sighed a little too loudly and said, "Fine, we'll try again later." The next day, I could tell she was avoiding me. So I sat beside her and said, "Hey, I want to fix yesterday. I got frustrated and gave up instead of trying to help you feel ready. That wasn't fair to you." She looked surprised and said, "It's okay, I was mad too." That tiny conversation changed our whole relationship. She started trusting me again, and her effort came back. That's the power of repair. It rebuilds safety faster than any consequence ever could. And if you lost your cool, and we all do sometimes, model repair yourself. Say, "I shouldn't have yelled, I got frustrated, and I'm sorry. I'm working on calming myself faster next time." That one sentence teaches more emotional intelligence than 100 lectures. When you model humility, your child learns responsibility without shame. Remember, the goal isn't to erase the meltdown, it's to end it with connection. I want to tell you a story that captures this perfectly. A parent I worked with once told me about a meltdown her son had in the car. He'd been promised ice cream cone after school, but the shop had closed early. He was devastated, sobbing, yelling, saying it wasn't fair. In that moment, she wanted to say, "Stop crying, it's just ice cream." But instead, she waited. She stayed quiet. Later that night, when everyone was calm, she sat down beside him and said, Hey, I want to talk about what happened earlier. He looked down and whispered, I just really wanted it. I was thinking about it all day. That was the moment she realized it wasn't about the ice cream. It was about disappointment, about expectations, about feeling let down. She said, That makes sense. You were looking forward to it. I get why that felt so hard. And then she asked, What can we do next time if something doesn't go our way? They made a plan together. The next week, he handled a similar disappointment so much better. That's what repair looks like. Not a lecture, not a consequence, just understanding, empathy, and guidance. And here's what's amazing. That mom didn't lose her authority. She gained credibility because her child felt seen, not shamed. That's the magic of repair. It turned a meltdown into a memory of love. So, now you've learned how to help your child return to calm and how to guide the repair afterwards so your relationships get stronger instead of strained. In our final step, we'll talk about how to make calm connection last, how to build emotional strength and resilience in your child every single day. You've made it through the storm, you've repaired the connection, now it's time to build strength for the next one. Because here's the truth, meltdowns will still happen, life will still throw curveballs, but every time you guide your child back to calm, you're teaching their brain something powerful, how to come back faster next time. Step 5 is about creating emotional strength for you and for your child. It's about helping your child develop a calm baseline so their red light moments happen less often and don't last as long. And that starts with you. Your calm, your consistency, your daily connection. Those are the quiet reps that build emotional muscle. You're not just handling meltdowns anymore. You're shaping the emotional climate of your home. Let's talk about why this step matters so much. Connection is to emotional health what exercise is to physical health. It builds strength through consistency, not perfection. Every small moment of connection tells your child's nervous system, you're safe, you belong, and you matter. When that message repeats over time, safety becomes their default state, not stress. That's how you prevent future meltdowns before they start. When a kid lives in a relationship where safety and understanding are predictable, their brain doesn't have to go into fight, flight, or freeze so quickly. And when it does, they bounce back faster, because they've learned that calm is always available to them. This is the heart of raising strong kids. You're teaching them emotions aren't dangerous, they're signals, and that they have the power to respond, not just react. That's emotional resilience, and it's built through small, daily doses of connection. So how do you build that daily connection? You don't need elaborate plans or hours of one-on-one time. You just need small, consistent moments that tell your child, I see you. Here are a few simple rituals you can start today. 1. Playtime without an agenda. Spend 10 minutes playing something of your child's choosing. No corrections, no teaching, just pure presence. For younger kids, that might be pretend play. For older ones, it could be tossing a ball or listening to your favorite song together. 2. Evening check-ins. At bedtime or dinner, ask, what was your favorite part of the day? Or, what was tricky today? Listen without fixing, just be curious. And 3. The one good thing habit. Each night, name one thing you appreciate about your child that day. Name something they did or who they are. For example, I loved how patient you were with your sister today. I noticed you tried again even when you were frustrated. This teaches them to internalize your calm and your faith in them. 4. Calm corner practice. Create a small space in your home for calming. Soft lighting, cozy blankets, maybe a fidget or sensory toy. Visit it together when things aren't good so your child associates it with safety, not punishment. And 5. Pause and name as a family. When emotions rise, say it out loud. I'm feeling tense, so I'm going to take a breath. You're normalizing regulation for everyone in the house. These small moments compound over time. They tell your child, you're safe, you're seen, and I'm here, even when life feels messy. One family I worked with started a 5-minute ritual they called the porch check-in. Every evening, right before dinner, they'd sit on the front steps, no phones, no agenda, and every person would share one good thing and one hard thing about their day. At first, their kids rolled their eyes, but within a couple of weeks, they began reminding their parents to go sit on the porch. The mom told me, we don't fight as much at night anymore. Everyone feels heard before we even walk inside. And that's what rituals do. They shrink the distance between you and your child, one tiny conversation at a time. And here's the best part. Every time you do this, you're practicing emotional fitness for yourself too. I've seen this transformation in so many families. At first, the meltdowns are daily. Parents are drained, unsure, and stuck in constant reaction mode. Then something shifts. They start practicing the pause and aim. They begin connecting instead of correcting. They repair after the storm. And within weeks, everything feels lighter. There's a family I still think about years later. 2 working parents and a 7-year-old boy who used to have explosive after-school meltdowns every single day. We built a tiny system. 5 minutes of quiet snack time, no screens, and 1 playful connection before homework. Nothing fancy. For 2 weeks, it felt like nothing was changing. Then one afternoon, the dad sent an email and simply said, he came home grumpy, and then asked if I wanted to shoot hoops first. That was the turning point. He learned to reach for connection instead of control. And now, years later, the family still keeps that 5-minute ritual. Not because they need it anymore, but because it became the heartbeat of their evening. One mom told me, we still have meltdowns, but now they don't run our house. We do. Her son, who used to take 45 minutes to calm down, now recovers in 5. Not because he changed overnight, but because she did. When you model calm, connect consistently, and repair after rupture, you're doing more than surviving hard moments. You're teaching your child how to thrive in them. That's the long game. That's the quiet, powerful work that changes everything. You're raising a child who doesn't just avoid meltdowns. They understand themselves. And you're becoming a parent who doesn't just manage chaos, you create calm. That's what it means to raise strong. So as we close this workshop, I want you to remember something. Calm isn't about perfection, it's about practice. Every meltdown you guide through with connection is another rep of emotional strength for both of you. In our final moments together, we'll put it all together, talk about your next steps, and how to use the Meltdown Map in your home starting tonight. Before we close, I want you to take a breath and think about this question. What's one small way you can help your child feel safe and seen today? It doesn't have to be big or complicated. Maybe it's sitting beside them instead of speaking over them. Maybe it's putting your phone down for a few minutes to listen to their story. Maybe it's giving them a hug and saying, I love you, even when things are hard. Every one of those moments sends a powerful message. You're safe, you are loved, you matter to me. That's how calm becomes a daily habit, not through perfection, but through small moments of presence. Because your child doesn't need you to do it all right. They need you just to keep showing up. Before I built this workshop, I used to end my sessions with strategies. Now I end them with stories, because that's where the real change begins. A few weeks ago, a parent told me, I tried that one line you said, you're safe, I'm here, and my daughter melted into my arms instead of away from me. That's the power of small moments. It's not about grand gestures, it's about that one line, that one breath, that one decision to stay when things get hard. You never know which moment your child will remember, but chances are, it'll be one of the ones where you chose calm. There's a quote from Dr. Bruce Perry that I absolutely love. He says, relationships are the agent of change, and the most powerful therapy is human love. And that's exactly what we've talked about today. Every single step of the Meltdown Map comes back to that one truth. In step 1, you learn to decode what's really happening in your child's brain, to see behavior not as defiance, but as communication. That shift in perspective is love in action. It's the moment you stop asking, what's wrong with you, and start asking, what happened to you? In step 2, you practice how to regulate yourself before you respond. Because your calm is your child's anchor. That's love too. Every deep breath you take says, you're safe with me, even when you're not calm yet. In step 3, you learn to connect before you correct, to meet your child's emotions with presence instead of power. That connection tells their brain, I see you, I'm not leaving, we'll figure this out together. Step 4 was all about repair, coming back after the storm. That's where love becomes healing. Every time you circle back and say, I'm sorry, let's try again, you're teaching your child that love doesn't break when things get hard. It bends and it holds. And finally, in step 5, you learned how to build resilience through daily connection. The small rituals and moments that tell your child over and over again, you matter, you belong, you're safe. Those quiet moments of consistency are what transform emotional survival into emotional strength. So, when Dr. Perry says, relationships are the agent of change, he's talking about this: the everyday love that shapes your nervous system, heals old patterns, and rewires both parent and child towards connection. The truth is, it's not the perfect strategy or the flawless script that changes families. It's your calm, your compassion, your willingness to come back after the storm. That's the power of love that teaches safety. That's how healing happens, for your child and for you. So take that truth with you. Love is the therapy, connection is the lesson, and calm is your tool. I've seen this proven again and again, not in therapy rooms, but in kitchens, classrooms, and car rides. It's not about fancy interventions or perfect words. It's about relationship. It's about showing up with love that says, I'm here, you're safe, we can handle this together. That's the kind of change that lasts. And that's what it means to raise strong. And before we close, I want to leave you with something simple, a way to carry these 5 steps into your daily life. I call it the CALMS framework. It's your quick reference, your roadmap for turning chaos into connection, one breath, one choice at a time. Let's walk through it together. C is for calm, decoding what really happened. See your child's behavior for what it is, communication, not defiance. When you stay curious about the why, instead of reacting to the what, you stop fighting the behavior and start understanding the need beneath it. A is for anchor. Regulate yourself before you respond. Your calm is your child's anchor. When you slow your breathing, soften your voice, and steady your body, their nervous system begins to match yours. You're showing them what safety feels like. L is for listen. Connect before you correct. Listen to the emotions behind the words. When you kneel beside your child, reflect what you see and say, you're really frustrated. You're saying, I'm with you, not against you. Connection always comes before correction. M stands for mend. Repair after the rupture. When you come back after the storm with a hug, an apology, or a calm conversation, you're teaching that love is stronger than the meltdown. Repair builds trust, safety, and emotional resilience. And S is for strengthen. Build resilience through daily connection. The small moments matter most. The bedtime check-in, the 5 minutes of play, the gentle presence at the end of a long day. Each one tells your child, you're safe, you belong, and we're okay. That's how you build lasting calm in your home. When you remember CALMS, you remember your roadmap. Calm, anchor, listen, mend, strengthen. That's how you turn chaos into connection. One breath, one moment, one step at a time. Congratulations! You've just learned the Meltdown Map. And now this is where it all comes together. You have a new map, a new way to see your child, to see yourself, and to navigate those hard moments that used to feel impossible. Before today, meltdowns might have felt like losing control, like every outburst was a reflection of something that you were doing wrong. But now, you know the truth. Those moments aren't signals of failure, they're invitations. Invitations to pause, to connect, and to lead your child back to safety through your calm. This map is more than a parenting tool, it's a mindset shift. You're not walking into meltdowns as the firefighter anymore, scrambling to put out flames. You're stepping in as the lighthouse, steady, grounded, guiding both of you home. And the more you use this map, the more natural it becomes. Your reactions start to change. Your child's recoveries get faster. The energies in your home begin to soften. Because calm isn't something you're chasing, it's something you're creating. When I first started this work, I used to think that progress meant fewer meltdowns. Now I know progress means more moments of reconnection, more times you come back together after the storm. This isn't just about surviving the chaos, it's about building a legacy of calm, one your child will pass on without even realizing it. That's what it means when I say the roadmap transcends generations. It's not just about handling the emotions today, it's how your child will handle them in life tomorrow. Let's take one final moment to really recognize how much you've learned here. In step 1, you discovered what's actually happening in your child's brain and that their behavior is communication, not defiance. In step 2, you practice regulating yourself first, learning that your calm is your child's shortcut to safety. In step 3, you found that connection, not control, is the doorway to cooperation. In step 4, you learned how to repair after the storm, turning conflict into connection. And in step 5, you built the foundation for lasting emotional strength through small daily moments of presence. That's not theory, that's transformation. With this map, you no longer have to walk into meltdowns feeling anxious, angry, or unsure. You have direction, you have tools, and you have a way to bring yourself and your child back to calm together. And every time you use this, you're not just handling the moments, you're building your child's nervous system for life. You're teaching them big feelings are safe. Love doesn't disappear when we're upset. We can always come back to each other. That's what this map gives you. Not control, but connection. Not perfection, but peace. Not just calm for now, but calm that lasts. So when the next meltdown hits, and it will, because that's real life, I want you to picture this map in your mind. Picture yourself taking one breath before reacting. Picture yourself kneeling beside your child instead of standing above them. Picture yourself saying, "You're safe, I'm here." That's your map, that's your calm. That's the moment you transform chaos into connection. And that's what your child will remember. Not that you melted down, but that you stayed. This is your new map, one that leads not just to a calmer home, but to a deeper relationship. You've turned the most stressful part of parenting into your greatest opportunity for growth. And you've done it by leading with what's always been your most powerful tool, your calm. When you stay calm, your child's nervous system mirrors yours. They learn that big feelings don't have to be feared. They can be felt, understood, and moved through safety. Every time you regulate yourself first, you're building your child's emotional intelligence. Every time you connect before you correct, you're strengthening their trust. Every time you repair after the storm, you're teaching them resilience. This doesn't just change the day-to-day, it changes the long game. You're not raising a child who avoids hard emotions. You're raising a child who can handle them. That's the real gift of the Meltdown Map. A teenager once told me, "My mom doesn't yell anymore. She just looks at me and breathes." That line stopped me in my tracks, because that's the work right there. That's what we're doing together. When you change how you respond, your child's entire emotional landscape shifts. You're giving them the blueprint for safety they'll carry with them into every relationship they ever have. So what's next? Here's how you can start using this right away. Make sure you download the Meltdown Map workbook. It's a quick reference guide for the 5-step framework. Next, practice these steps this week. Start with one that feels easiest. And lastly, celebrate every small win. Because progress, not perfection, is what builds confidence. If you want more guidance, join me and other parents in the Raise Strong community. It's where we keep building calm, connection, and confidence together. You don't have to do this alone. You deserve support too. If this workshop gave you even one moment of clarity, one breath of relief, I want you to know that this is just the beginning. The real transformation happens in the practice, in the daily moments that test you and teach you. That's why I created the Raise Strong community, a space where you can keep learning, keep connecting, and keep reminding yourself you're not alone in this. Because no one does this perfectly, but we can all do it powerfully together. So, take a deep breath with me. Inhale peace, exhale pressure. Your calm starts here, right now. When you choose calm, you're not just changing how your child sees you, you're changing how they see themselves. Every calm response tells them, "I'm safe, I can handle this, I'm loved, even when it's hard." That's the voice they'll carry with them long after the season of parenting is over. You have the tools, the awareness, and the heart, and that's enough. Remember, you can do this. You already are. Because every time you choose calm, you're teaching your child what safety feels like. Parents everywhere are learning to bring calm to chaos, and now you can too. If this workshop helps you see things differently, I'd love for you to stay connected. Join our Raise Strong community for deeper growth, encouragement, and practical tools to keep this work going. Together, we'll keep building calmer homes and stronger families, one conversation, one breath, one connection at a time. Because this isn't just about handling meltdowns, it's about healing cycles. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you of something important. Change doesn't come from knowing, it comes from practicing. Print your workbook, try one new tool tonight, and when the meltdown hits, instead of thinking, Here we go again. I want you to think, I have a map now. Because you do. You are the calm, you are the connection. And this, right here, right now, is where it all starts. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. You're doing the most meaningful work there is, shaping the next generation through your calm, your compassion, and your courage to show up differently. Now I know we're over time, but I have some common questions and answers for you. If you'd like to stick around and listen, you're more than welcome to. I know we've covered a lot today, and every time I teach the Meltdown Map, I get a few questions that come up over and over again. So before we close, I want to take a few minutes to walk through some of the most common ones, because if you're wondering about these, you're definitely not alone. Question 1. If I connect first, won't my child think they're getting away with it? That concern is very common. Connection does not erase accountability. It simply puts it in the right order. When your child's in fight, flight, or freeze, the thinking part of their brain is offline. Leading with empathy is how you bring the thinking brain back online so guidance can actually stick. Think of it like a two-step dance. Step 1 is safety, step 2 is teaching. If you try to teach while the alarm system is blaring, a child will argue, shut down, or escalate. When you meet the emotion first, you reduce cortisol and restore access to language, memory, and problem solving. Now the boundary can land without a power struggle. Here's a simple script you can use. You are really upset because you want more time. I get that. It is still time to turn it off. Would you like to do it together or set a timer for 30 seconds? Notice the sequence. First empathy, then limit, then a small choice to restore control. You are not giving in, you are giving a way through. If you worry your child will start to perform big feelings to get what they want, keep your boundaries steady. Offer empathy without changing the limit. You are disappointed we are not buying the toy today. I hear you. We are sticking with the plan. Would you like to help scan the groceries or carry the receipt? Consistent limits plus calm connection teaches my feelings are seen and the boundary is real. Question number 2. What if I try to stay calm, but my child keeps escalating? Calm is a signal, not a switch. It is a lighthouse, not a remote control. Sometimes the child still needs time to discharge the energy in their body before they can come back to you. Your calm is still doing work in the background, even when the behavior looks loud on the surface. Focus on 3 levers you can control. Lower stimulation, lower language, lengthen your breath. That might look like turning down lights, moving a few steps back to reduce intensity, and using a single sentence every 30 to 60 seconds. I'm here, you're safe. We will talk when your body is ready. Fewer words, slower pace, softer eyes. Have a simple plan for when the escalation lasts longer than you hoped. If it's safe, stay nearby but neutral. If you need space, narrate it and promise to return. I'm going to fill my water, I'll be back in 1 minute. If safety is a concern, reduce demand and keep hands busy with a grounding action, like squeezing a pillow or pushing palms against a wall. After the wave passes, debrief briefly. What helped you come back? What should we try first next time? Look for patterns outside of the moment. Many, my calm didn't work scenarios are really, we are already in yellow for an hour. Track sleep, hunger, transition, and sensory load. When you address those upstream factors, your calm starts to work faster downstream. Question number 3. What do I do if I lose my cool and yell? First, take a deep breath. You're human. Repair is the most powerful parenting tool you have. It restores safety, it models accountability, and teaches your child how to make things right after a mistake. The sequence is simple. Own it, name your feeling, name your value, state your plan. For example, I yelled earlier, I was frustrated and tired. I want to speak with kindness even when I'm upset. I'm going to try to breathe before I answer next time. This is not a long lecture. It's a clear model of how emotionally healthy people repair. If your child contributed to the conflict, keep the focus on you first, then invite collaboration. I lost my cool. I'm sorry. When the tablet turns off and you shout, I feel overwhelmed. What could help us both next time? Now you can create a tiny plan together. Timer warnings, a hand signal, or a short reset routine are all great options. A quick note about guilt. Productive guilt says, I don't like how I handled that. I'll try something different next time. Unproductive shame says, I'm a bad parent. Move towards the first one. Your child doesn't need you to be perfect. They need you to return, repair, and keep practicing. Question number 4. How do I handle consequences while staying connected? Connection and consequences are teammates. The goal is to teach, not to punish. Natural and logical consequences work best when they are calm, brief, and clearly linked to the behavior. Use this 3-step frame. Name the value, name the boundary, offer path to repair. In this family, we keep hands safe. You hit your brother, so we're taking a break from the game. After we cool down, you can make it right by checking on him and bringing an ice back. Then we can try again. You're not shaming. You're showing how to repair the harm and rejoin the group. Avoid common traps. Do not stack consequences in the heat of the moment. Do not threaten outcomes you cannot or will not follow through on. Do not remove every privilege for the rest of the week. Long global punishments create power struggles, and they don't teach a skill. Short, related, and repeatable responses do. Bring your child into the solution when calm returns. Ask, what would help you pause before it gets that big? Brainstorm one cue and one action. For example, a pause word, a drink of water, or 3 wall pushes. Then practice it when everyone is in green. Consequences teach accountability. Practice teaches capability. Your relationship holds both. And question number 5. What if my partner or co-parent doesn't parent this way? This is tender. You cannot control another adult, and you do not have to match styles to raise a healthy kid. Kids benefit from any safe, steady adult. One regulated nervous system can change the climate of a home. Start by aligning on values before strategies. Try a 5-minute check-in once a week. What went well with the kids? What was hard? What do we want them to learn about this month? Keep it about shared goals, not who is right. Then propose one small, specific experiment. For bedtime this week, let's both try the same 2-sentence script. We will compare notes on Sunday. Make it easy to say yes. If your partner is skeptical, let results speak. When they see fewer blow-ups or fast recoveries, they'll often become curious. Share wins, not lectures. When I sat beside her and named the feelings, she started breathing again in about a minute. That surprised me. Curiosity invites collaboration. If styles remain different, give your child a bridge. At mom's house, you do it that way. With me, we do it this way. You are safe in both places. Predictability helps kids adapt. Above all, protect your bond with your child. Your steady presence is not only enough, it is powerful. Consistency from one caregiver often resets the tone for everyone else. These are all such thoughtful questions, and they remind me that parents don't come to workshops like this because they're failing. You come because you care deeply, because you want to grow, and because you know your calm matters. So let's take these ideas home, experiment, and be gentle with yourself along the way. The goal isn't perfection, it's connection. Thank you for listening through the Meltdown Map, 5 steps to handle your child's big emotions. Have a great day.